wonderful friends. My name is Andrea Gomoll from Cre8tiveCre8tions, and right now I'm all in the mood for autumn already. We have the beginning of September, and actually here in Germany it's still quite hot. Today we actually have like 28 degrees Celsius, which is more or less like a summer temperature. However, I'm like totally in the mood for autumn already. So I decided to create like an autumn art journal page using my stamp set, my Changing Leaves stamp set, because this one is back in stock. Yay! Last year this one and the Halloween one, like this one, little Halloween witch, they sold out like super fast, so I decided it's definitely time for a comeback this year. So if you are in the mood for autumn already, actually some people are in the mood for Christmas already, I saw that. Anyways, so if you want those for your autumn projects or your Halloween, spooky Halloween projects, definitely check out my shop. I'll put the link in the info box so you can grab them if you want to play with them. And yeah, as an inspiration for this one, for the Changing Leaves stamp set, we will create this cute little fun autumn themed art journal page together using some watercolors, liquid watercolors, some die cutting here, yeah, stamping the cute little whimsical girl, coloring it with some Ecoline brush pens and some other watercolors, Primo watercolors, yeah, a little bit of mixed media fun in the background, and yeah, topped it off with this really cool liquid chrome marker, some like mirror effect, sparkly dots here in the end, and I actually got this as a gift when I was in the UK teaching my workshops. I got this one from Donna. Yay! I'm super happy about it, love it. So it's really like a super cool effect here, very subtle. So you actually have to hold it to actually see it. But anyways, so yeah, I think we will jump right in. Let's get started. Hope you will enjoy watching me create this. I will jump in with a little bit of an explanation voiceover as I go. Hope it inspires you if you create something inspired by this. Using the Autumn Girl stamp set or any other stamp set, please make sure to tag me in social media so that I can check it out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask and I will do my best to answer. And other than that, let's jump right in and let's get started. So I'm starting to prepare my autumn palette here using Ecoline liquid watercolors, just some browns, yellows, oranges, all those fun autumn colors. And then I'm just clipping down the pages in my art journal here to hold them nice and flat, using a large brush, getting the page wet. You don't want like puddles of water on your page, but you want to have it nice and wet. And then I'm just grabbing the colors and applying it to the page, just letting the colors kind of mix and mingle and blend, and yeah, let them do their thing, because again, that's a fun or one of the fun aspects of watercolor, just kind of seeing where it takes you and kind of letting the colors play and letting the colors do their own thing. So you can see I'm just applying a little more of the color here and there, a little bit more to the mix, some different colors. Then I'm adding in a little bit more water here and there to have it blend and bleed a little more. Also using a paper towel to dab some of the water puddles that kind of form back off. So you really just want to have fun with this, play with it, and yes, see what you end up with. And remember, you can always add and remove. This is really like a very fun and freeing process, so really enjoy this step. Yeah, and once it is dry, I kind of want to mute the page a little because I definitely want a little bit more of a calmer background, not this like super busy background. So I'm just using a little bit of white acrylic paint, just applying it directly onto the page, and then I'm using my brayer to kind of spread this out across the page, making sure I kind of want the edges a little whiter, a little lighter, and I still want a little bit of the watercolor pattern, of the watercolor texture peeking through here and there, and especially in the center. So a brayer is really great for this, because this again gives you a nice texture and allows you to kind of yeah, add a layer that still allows the underneath layers to peek through here and there compared to using a brush. Then I'm using a little bit of a copper paint here on top to add a little bit of a shimmer, of a sparkle, which is perfect for autumn. Yeah, then I grab, while I put this aside to dry, I grab another sheet of heavyweight watercolor paper here, just preparing 2 sheets because I want to use my Sizzix dies or some dies in general in the next step. So I prepare some watercolor paper here using the same technique, just letting the watercolors blend and bleed and mix and mingle and do their thing until I'm happy with the result. I'm also adding in a little bit of some iridescent watercolors here using the Primer Metallic palette because, again, for autumn, this very subtle like shine this iridescent effect really adds to it. Looks really great. Yeah, so really, again, just have fun with this and make sure you're not using like too heavy watercolor paper depending on the dies that you want to use in your cutting machine. Just make sure before you do this that the dies that you use will go through the paper. So it really depends on the dies and the die cutting machine that you use. Yeah, again, preparing another page here so that I have 2 nice watercolor sheets in the end that I can pick from, and then I can use to like die cut some elements for my Artjournal page here. So again, adding and removing and just really having fun with this. I could do this all day. Just kind of play with watercolors and let them do their thing and watch what they do and just add a little, remove a little until you're kind of happy with the result. Yeah, then once those 2 sheets are dry, I'm just grabbing them and I've just picked a couple of random dies here, a word dream, some paint splatters and some leaves, some foliage here, which works great on an autumn page. And yeah, I'm just grabbing it and running it through my cutting machine, through my Sizzix, to create some die cuts to use. And yeah, then I'm back here with my Autumn Girl stamp using a black ink pad, a black waterproof ink pad. This is the Archival ink by Ranger. Just stamping it onto a heavyweight watercolor paper again, so that I can go in and yeah, color it with some watercolors in the next step. And I'm also stamping a little bit of the words that are on this stamp set, just stamping it right onto the die cuts that I created earlier so that I can incorporate those into the Artjournal page in the end once we kind of bring it all together. Yeah, and once I'm done with that, I'm jumping right in and I'm starting to add some color to my cute little autumn girl here, just using a random mix of watercolors here, some watercolor markers like the Ecoline aqua markers or watercolor markers or watercolor pens. Also using some Prima watercolor here and some of the Ecoline watercolor again to kind of repeat the colors that I used in the background already. So really just mixing and matching and grabbing the watercolors that kind of speak to me and just the colors that I kind of want to stick to for this Artjournal page here, like an autumn color palette with some different shades of brown and earth tones and a little bit of green and definitely some oranges and some reds. Also coloring in those leaves that I stamped from the stamp set here. And as always, I'm just applying a first base coat of the watercolors using my Pentel Aqua brush, again my favorite, actually one of my favorite brushes. And once the first layer is dry, I'm going back in to add depth and dimension to the cute little girl here by applying some darker shades to the shadow areas and adding some highlights, because again, with the first layer of watercolor, it is just like coloring in, like a coloring page, a children's coloring page, just color it in. And then with the next layers, with the different glazes of watercolor that you add on top, you really create this depth and dimension, adding a little bit of blue or purple to the shadow areas, adding a little more vibrancy here and there, so that you really end up with some nice shadows
some mid-tones, and definitely some very, very bright highlights. And this will really create this depth and dimension in your colored images, okay? And then I'm just going back in with my white Molotov paint marker here to add a little bit of a shine, of a glaze to the eyes, just a little bit of a reflection of a catchlight and to the waterline, and some reflections to the cheeks, to the tip of the nose, the cheekbones, the chin, to all those areas that can need a little bit additional sparkle and that I want to like bring out a little further, okay? And yeah, once I'm done with that, I decided that she would look really, really cute with some additional little freckles. So freckles it is. I'm just going back in with a brush and a little bit of a light brown here, adding some teeny tiny freckles just to make her even cuter. Yeah, so next I'm grabbing those like negative images, those leftovers from the die cuts that I punched out with my cutting machine, and I'm using those as stencils, just using a palette knife and some white lightweight texture paste, just scraping it across those leftovers, and they kind of really work the same way as those store-bought stencils do, leaving you with a nice raised image here. And yeah, once I applied this and once this is dry, I'm going back in with a little bit more of the liquid watercolor just to bring the raised texture of those stenciled images out a little. And this kind of works a little bit like a resist effect here, not as much as if you would use like a glossy gel medium, for example. But this just gives you a little bit of a different effect, but it definitely kind of brings out those stenciled images. And also adding a little bit of the Prima iridescent watercolor here just to add a little bit more of this like sparkle and shine. And once it is dry, or once it was dry, I decided I want to go a little darker here, adding a little bit more brown. Again, this is just a process, just the back and forth. Just see where it takes you and then add to it or remove to it. That's the fun about mixed media. You can always go back in and change things up to your liking. And once this is dry, I'm just using a little bit more of this copper acrylic paint here, just slightly adding it on top of those raised images to bring them out a little more. And once this is all dry and I'm happy with the result, I'm grabbing all of my die cut elements, my leaves here and those paint splatters. I'm just spreading it out in front of me to see what I want to use, where I want to put things, just moving things around and kind of making up my mind where I want to go. Then again, I made up my mind using my brayer again with a little bit more of a white acrylic paint, because I still wanted a little more white in some areas to kind of add a little bit more contrast, especially to those dark areas. And once happy, I'm just grabbing my die cuts, like this word, this dream, this paint splatter, and the paint splatters that I stamped with some words before. And again, those die cuts, they're all like punched out or cut out of the watercolor paper that I prepared earlier. Okay, so of course you could just use some normal pattern paper, store-bought pattern paper, but I think it's just so much fun to create this yourself. Adding some white paint splatters, and then I just proceed to add my cute little autumn girl here as a main focal point. And then I'm just kind of grouping and assembling all the different elements, all those cute little delicate die cut leaves, and also the tiny stamped leaves that I colored in earlier, just kind of grouping it and around the girl, and just kind of building clusters. Make sure you don't spread it out all over the page. You kind of want a little bit of a cluster here and there to kind of create some focal points for the eye to rest on later. Okay, also using some 3D foam adhesive here to have a little bit of a raised appearance of some of the leaves here, to just add a little more depth and dimension. Also adding in this cute little wooden autumn leaf, or 2 wooden autumn leaves that I gathered. Right now you can find like autumn decorations everywhere in the stores, and whenever I stroll those aisles, I always try to think of what of those deco elements I could use for my art journals or for my mixed media projects. Just adding of autumn here to the dream, because I kind of wanted the title to be Dream of Autumn, and then going back in, adding some splatters, and we're done.
So that was it. Hope you like how it turned out. Hope you enjoyed watching me create this, enjoyed the process of creating this. And again, you can still grab the autumn girl and the little Halloween witch in my shop, at least right now. Maybe if you're watching this video later, they might be gone already, but right now, as I'm uploading this video, those are still available in the shop. And if you want to see all the other stamps that are available in a little flip through, stay tuned at the end of the video. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed this. Again, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave a comment in the info box. Not in the info box, below the info box. And I'm happy to help out and to answer. And other than that, hope you liked it, hope you enjoyed it, and happy autumn, and talk to you all again soon. Bye, folks. So guys, if you like my projects using my cute little whimsical, playful girls, and you want to grab some of my Creative Creations stamp sets, you can find them in my shop. And I will just give you a quick flip through of the stamps that are currently available. Again, this might change if you're watching the video at a later point. However, you just check out the shop and see which ones are available, if there are any new ones added, because I add new sets on a regular base, a couple of times a year. So for example, we have some autumn and Halloween themed stamp sets here, changing leaves, a little spooky Halloween witch, We have some summer themed stamps still. Maybe if you're in Australia, it's spring right now, so summer's coming. We have some Aloha girl here, a little bit of Hawaiian fun. Sail away, a sailor girl. We have some pool fun here, a little bit of beach life. So that's something. Then we have, what else? Let me just flip through. We have some winter themed stamps, the winter buddies, winter girls, snowman, cute little playful whimsical winter and Christmas themed sets, like this Holly Jolly Christmas set, Our Savior is Born, a little bit more of a religious Christian Christmas stamp set. Again, there's a new Christmas set coming right now, which will be up in the shop. Actually, it's already up in the shop, but I will just get the little delivery within the next couple of days. So I will share that at a later point. Then we have the Child of God, for example. If you're into like Bible art journaling, Bible journaling, you might enjoy this one. And we have the Light Shine set, which is a little bit of a spiritual set, using like the moon, some crystals, and yeah, the flower of life here. So that's something. Then we have the art party, for example, a cute little artist girl here. I create, therefore I am artist at work, with one of those dolls here and some tools in a little like glass. And yeah, so an artist set. And we have the Wild Soul. This one's actually sold out. Coffee themed stamp set, for example. We have planner themed stamp sets, actually 2 different sets. This is just one of them. Planner Love, Bullet Journal, Eat, Sleep, Plan, Repeat, with a cute little planner girl here doing her job. Happy Mail stamp sets with a cute little snail mail, smile. We've got Happy Mail, cute little girl here, to my lovely pen pal, Airmail. There's nothing better than a real letter. And again, there are many, many more stamp sets in my shop, so definitely check out the link in the info box or follow the link on screen to take a look which stamp sets are available right now, and if you like them, grab them, because again, some of them make a comeback, but not all of them. So basically they're limited editions. Once they're gone, and just a few maybe make a comeback someday. It depends, but usually they just make room for new, different sets. So if there's a set you definitely want to have, you are in love with, you better grab it ASAP before it's gone. Okay guys, so yeah, follow the link to the shop if you like them. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and other than that, talk to you all again soon. Bye!